Hey guys, Michael from Fire and Brilliance, GIA graduate, your Geminar influencer, and your #1 jeweler in the big bling industry. Welcome to our channel. All right, in today's episode, I know I haven't created a new video in a long time, but I definitely want to go over something today. I think I'm going to try something new today, and if you guys like it, please leave in the comments section below. What I'm going to do today is provide you with 3 brand new topics in the jewelry industry in the last couple of months that's actually pretty big. So regardless if you're in the jewelry business, or if you're a consumer, or if you're trying to purchase an engagement ring, or just trying to purchase some jewelry for yourself, this is some great news that you should follow, just so that you are educated and you're well equipped before making that next jewelry purchase. Okay, so the 3 topics that I'm going over today is news in the jewelry industry. #1 is the new tariffs on Indian natural diamond exports. The next topic is Debeers and how they have just recently filed another $189 million loss in the first half of 2025. And the last topic is how Claire's have filed a second bankruptcy in the last 7 years. I'm going to go ahead and go over the details of these topics, and I'll go ahead and also provide you with my opinions at the end. So if you stay tuned, you're going to get all of that information. So again, that you are well aware of what you're getting yourself into, especially if you are in the jewelry market trying to purchase jewelry for yourself. So first and foremost, why is it important that the tariffs on Indian exports? If you don't know, if you're not in the jewelry business, then you may not know this, but the majority of natural diamonds are cut and polished. What they call it is manufactured in India. So about 90% of all natural diamonds, rough diamonds that are mined from all over the world, are shipped into India, where the stones or the rough is cut and polished before it's exported out into other parts of the world, such as the United States. Now, here's the thing. If you've been following the news, you may know that here in the United States, the current administration has been putting a lot of tariffs in different countries. For this specific episode, we're talking about the Indian exports. Now, this administration first, as a baseline with the tariffs, was introduced in April of 2025 of 10%. This was increased to 25% effective as of August 7th, 2025. And then, as of this month, it was announced that a further hike to a total of 50% will be imposed on all Indian exports. Now, these Indian exports include diamonds, okay? So since this is being a jewelry channel, I want to make sure that you guys are well aware of what that means here. These rates apply to top existing most favored nation tariffs. And the scope of the reasons is that, well, the tariffs target Indian goods broadly, including diamonds, shrimp, home textiles, and carpets, due to the high U.S. trade exposure in these areas. So officially framed as a penalty for Indians' Russian oil imports, the measures aims to pressure India into aligning with U.S. trade policies. So let me go ahead and give you an idea of how this is going to affect the jewelry business. India's gems and jewelry exports to the U.S. were valued at around $10 billion in fiscal year of 2025, with cut and polished diamonds leading to the category. The U.S. accounts for about 25 to 50% of India's total diamond exports, making it a critical market. These developments have sparked urgent calls for bilateral trade negotiations, but basically at the end of the day, how it may affect the Indian diamond business is that approximately there may be job losses and workforce distribution. So approximately 100,000 jobs have already been lost in certain areas of India, and affected workers who earn a certain amount of salary face temporary layoffs, reduced shifts, or permanent unemployment. So how will this affect us ultimately here in the United States, right? The idea is this. Now, if every dollar of natural diamonds that enter the United States will be imposed an extra 50%, that means if the retailer, a jewelry business, was importing a natural diamond into the United States and was paying $1, now they're paying $1.50. So if they were paying $1,000, now they're paying $1,500. If they were paying $10,000, now they're paying $15,000. So you follow the math. So what does that ultimately mean? What that means to the end consumer as well as the businesses is that someone is going to have to absorb this, right? From my professional opinion, is someone will have to absorb this. It's either the manufacturer, which is the Indian exporter, they're going to have to cut into their margins so that they are selling the diamonds to the United States at a more competitive rate, or they're just going to have to take the risk of selling a lot less diamonds. Now, the people that are importing it in, such as the retailers, they're going to have to absorb it by cutting into their margins so that they're not passing it on to the consumers, or they will also face selling many less natural diamonds. And ultimately, if the manufacturer or the retailer do not want to absorb all of the costs, then you know what will happen? They're going to have to increase their prices, and the end consumer who ultimately wants to purchase natural diamonds will have to pay the cost of the higher tariffs. So that's basically how it works. And, based on my professional opinion, I don't think it's either going to be one or the other or black and white. It's going to be a mix of all three. It's going to be absorbed by partly from the manufacturer reducing the margins, partly by the retailers also cutting into their profits, and then ultimately the consumers, will have to pay a bit of that cost as well. So it's going to be spread between the three parties. That's what I believe will happen. But at the same time, it's going to cause a lot of financial strain to the Indian jewelry business, or the Indian specifically natural diamond business. The other part of this is that my other opinion that in regards to this news is that it's going to escalate and catapult the lab-grown diamond business even more. If the lab-grown diamond business wasn't already very popular in the last couple of years because it's becoming so much more affordable, and I've said this over and over again, lab diamonds are diamonds. Lab diamonds and natural diamonds are both diamonds. Basically what it is a carbon rock. If it's a carbon rock, it's a diamond. The only difference between a natural diamond and a lab-grown diamond is one is made in a lab, the other is made naturally in Earth, in the Earth's crust, right? So ultimately, that's what it is. Now, if natural diamond prices are going to cost 50% more, then it's going to hurt the natural diamond business, because the cost of actually entering into that market to buy a natural diamond on an engagement ring or your earrings or whatever, or pendant, or wherever you want to put the diamond to your piece of jewelry, it's going to cost more. So that extra burden, financial burden, will reduce the number of sales. So what's the alternative? The alternative is to purchase a lab-grown diamond. Matter of fact, if you look on many different reports online, they are already saying that the United States of America currently, the engagement rings of the younger generation purchased in the year of 2024 into 2025, at least 50% or more of the engagement rings that where people choose to go with a diamond, they're choosing to opt for lab-grown diamonds as opposed to natural diamonds. So the cost of natural diamonds are even going to go up even more. What do you think is going to happen? So my opinion is that the lab-grown diamond popularity will be even more mainstream than it already is. So that's my opinion. Now, let's go into the next story. The next story is Debeers. I touched base on the Debeers topic a couple of times in my last couple of episodes. If you guys don't know, Debeers is a very, very big name brand company in the natural diamond space. Just to kind of give you a little bit of background on Debeers, if you haven't followed the last couple of episodes, and if you do want to learn more about it, go and click on the icon here. But that said, what you want to know about Debeers is that they were the company that started the slogan "Diamonds Are Forever." They were the ones who marketed natural diamonds for the longest time, and they're the ones who created that natural diamonds and created that made the natural diamond. Well, one of the companies, not the only company, but they're very well known for being the company that really catapulted natural diamonds being in jewelry, especially engagement rings. Right. In the last couple of years, for lack of better words, they've been hurting financially because of quite a few things. One was the popularity of lab-grown diamonds, and two, obviously the cost of natural diamonds is not the most economical for many people, especially the younger generations. And three, it's also because of the internet. More people are being educated now, and they're weighing out their options. They know that going with the natural diamond is not the only and absolute options anymore. They can go with any other options that's available in the market, from colored stones to lab grown to anything that they want. But they reported that in the first half of 2025, they have filed a loss of $189 million. So let me go ahead and kind of give you a few stats here, okay? Debeers reported an underlying EBITDA loss of $189 million for the first half of 2025 compared to $300 million in profit in the first half of 2024. Well, think about that swing. If you're profiting $304 million in 1 year, and then the next year you're losing $189 million, that's almost a $500 million swing. That is, in terms of business, publicly traded or private, is big money here, okay? And, and what they're saying is that the revenue has declined. Total revenue fell 13% to $1.95 billion from $2.25 billion from this same time last year, driven by a 13% drop in rough diamond sales. Okay, so the price drop, the average realized price per carat decreased by 5% to $155 from $164 per carat, reflecting a 14% decline in the rough diamond price index. And they also did a stock rebalancing. And what that basically means, if you break it down to the bare bones, is that the loss was exacerbated by the stock rebalancing initiatives where De Beers sold specific rough diamond assortments at lower margins. So basically, if they were selling it for $1 before, now they're selling for 70 cents, for example, right? At lower margins to clear inventory purchase at higher prices. Now, and the operational challenges as well, there's production cuts. Rough diamond production drops 23% to 10.2 million carats from 13.3 million carats in 2024. So all in all, their sales are down, their margins are down, their overall operational shipments are down. Everything has gone down. And so what are they saying here? The market conditions. There's weaker demand, subdued global demand for rough diamonds coupled with a surplus of polished diamond inventory in the midstream contributed to the loss. So meaning there's just lower demand all around. More people are having more supply. So of all these middlemen that are purchasing these diamonds have influx of inventory that they can't sell. The supply is too high. They're going to stop buying directly from De Beers. The other thing too is the lab-grown competition, which is what I've already mentioned earlier. The falling prices of lab-grown diamonds and growing consumer awareness of their lower production costs are positioning them to a different alternative. Okay, so people are definitely going with lab-grown. Now, what are my opinions on De Beers with this situation? Well, first and foremost, I admire De Beers. I think De Beers is one of the first great jewelry diamond businesses that was around. They catapulted this business. They really made the engagement for weddings, the engagement ring, right, for weddings, very, very popular. So I admire De Beers, but I think De Beers and other companies like them are going through a current crossroads right now, where natural diamonds are no longer the absolute and only choice. During the 80s and 90s, 70s, even into the early 2000s, going with natural diamonds was almost a no-brainer. That is something that everyone was purchasing when they went to go and get engaged. Well, almost everyone, right? It's different now. After the internet stage, people are more aware, people are more educated, people want to shop their own and be unique on their own. They don't want a company or anybody to tell them that, hey, natural diamonds is the only way to go. They will go with a more economical option, such as a lab-grown, or even in many cases, they will go with colored stones from rubies, sapphires, emeralds, alexandrites, you name it. And they have those in naturals and lab-grown as well. So the options are unlimited now, whereas before, most people were directed to go with just natural diamonds only. So I think in this situation, De Beers is going through a crossroads, and they really have to be more strategic about how they present their products moving forward. It's either they're going to continue to face a shrinking natural diamond market where they're going to cater to just a niche of people, or they're going to have to expand their horizons and start offering different types of gemstones. So that's my personal opinion. And then the final and last story here is Claire's. Now, this story is kind of sad for me, to be honest, because I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I'm an 80s and 90s kid. I used to love going to the malls. We used to always see Claire's in almost every single mainstream mall. They were very, very popular. Now, all the my sister and all the female family members of my family used to go into Claire's and buy fun fashion jewelry for teenagers, and they used to always shop there. As a matter of fact, my very own daughter, we took her there to get her ear pierced. So yes, I find it Claire's as very nostalgic for an 80s and 90s kid, especially for the women and the ladies, right? Because they cater more to them, at least during that time. And they also had ear pierce servicing, which is really neat. But they did file bankruptcy again here in August of 2025. Now, that's not the first time. That's actually the second time they filed for bankruptcy in the last 7 years. The last time they filed bankruptcy was back in 2018, and the reasons for bankruptcy is that they're saying that there's a growing mounting debt. There's increased competition from competitors like Shein, Temu, Amazon, and other online businesses that have a much more economical price point. And then there's also a shift from brick and mortar to an online business. So if their target audience is the young generation, such as tweens and teenagers, where do you think people are shopping these days, especially if they're young and they're, all they knew their whole life was not going into a mall, but shop using their smartphone, right? Going on Amazon, going on other online platforms that are much more economical and convenient. So instead of going into the mall, asking your parents to drive you to the mall, walking into the mall, and purchasing it directly from the store, then going home, you can now, with the tip of your fingers, purchase it online and have it shipped directly to your house, sometimes even same day. So why would people do that and do the traditional way? Now, don't get me wrong, I still love going to the malls. I enjoy going to the malls, but I'm from a different generation. We're talking about the younger generation, and if you are shopping at a store like Claire's, unfortunately, the online business is where the future is and where it's currently at. So Claire's in general should consider strategizing on how to bring their business to market online, and I'm sure they already are, but they have to be a little more strategic in how they do it to get the eyeballs to purchase directly from them, as opposed to the gazillion options that's online at the moment. So those are the three stories that I have. Claire's going bankrupt, Debeers going through the crossroads, as well as Indian tariffs. Now, all in all of this combined, what does it come down to a conclusion to? All of this is still going towards a direction that I've been preaching for quite a long time. And I feel like the writing has been on the wall for a long time. Number one, shopping online has become more and more popular. Most people are shopping online these days. And especially if they're shopping for jewelry, they are going for the optimal route. And many times the optimal route is what's most economical, what's most convenient, and they get to shop all the jewelers around the world, as opposed to just being confined to their local jewelers in their own city or town. So let me know your thoughts. And last of all, did you like this concept of just me going over the jewelry news, the latest news in the jewelry industry, so that you can be more educated before you make that next big purchase? Because at the end of the day, jewelry isn't cheap. And if you are going to purchase that next engagement ring, earrings, pendant, custom jewelry, it's good to know what's going on so that you can get the most bang for your buck, work with the best people in the business, but at the same time, be very well educated all around. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you next time.